I think the best way to teach people what you learn from the film is to watch it with them, because I'm a big believer that repetition is the mother of skill. My teacher, original teacher, Jim Rohn, original mentor, he used to always say, the way you master anything is repetition. Most of us, we read a book or we attend something or we learn something and it kind of goes in and we have excitement about it. And then, it's part of our memory, but it's not activated. When somebody's got a skill, if you look at somebody, like Curry, and you say, how come he can make those 3-punch shots? It's because he's practiced a trillion zillion times, right? Kobe, who just retired, he would make 300 shots every practice. He wouldn't stop practicing until he made 300 shots in that practice. Well, when you do something over and over and over again, it's going to be in your body. So I'd recommend watch this again, because I bet it's like stepping in the river. It's like, the next time you do it, you're going to be a little different, and do it with someone and then discuss afterwards what you both got out of it. And instead of telling them what they're supposed to experience, that way they haven't experienced themselves. And it can start some really beautiful conversations. We've been seeing that at all the film festivals we're doing, because I've been doing Q&A afterwards like we're doing here, and then getting people to share. So I think that might be the best approach. Let's go back over here to Google Hangout.
All right, come on.
Let's see here.
Yep.
Sir, I don't know your name, but you're the third person from the left, and you got a nice beard. What's your name?
Hear us?
My name is Nathan, and I'm from San Diego.
Okay, Nathan, have you seen the film yet?
I have. It was awesome.
Oh, good. Tell me, what's your question? How can I help?
I was wondering if there was a way to identify your own limiting beliefs.
Absolutely. I mean, it's pretty simplistic. I think what you have to do is you have to ask yourself, where in my life am I most stressed? Where are the areas, like, if I were to ask you in your life, where's the areas that you get the most stressed out? Where would you say it is?
Client relationships.
Okay, what's your business, if I can ask?
I'm an accountant.
Okay, and what's stressful in client relationships?
They procrastinate, and then they throw
those
it on
bastards.
Right.
And they throw it on you, and you got to do it the last minute.
Right.
I see. And how predictable is this behavior?
It's 100% correct.
That was my point. So when we stress out about things that are totally predictable, what it does is it just makes us suffer inside. And what you got to ask yourself is, the areas where you suffer, what would you have to believe to feel those feelings? What do you feel? What's the emotion you feel when that situation happens? They dump it all on you. What do you feel? What's the emotion you feel?
Totally obligated to make good on getting it done.
Okay, and what else besides obligated do you feel?
Overwhelmed.
Overwhelmed? Okay.
Yeah.
So what would you have to believe to feel overwhelmed in those moments?
That it's my responsibility.
What else would you have to believe besides it's your responsibility? To be stressed, to be overwhelmed.
That I'm not going to be able to get it done.
That's right. So your limiting belief is, if they turn it in late, I'm totally responsible and I'm not going to be able to get it done. Now let me ask you a question. Do you always get it done?
I always get it done.
Yes. So that was my guess. And so guess what? You're stressing, you're creating all this suffering because you're thinking about something, you got a belief about something, and those thoughts make you crazy, but you get it done. You get it done every time. Based on the evidence of your past, you should have no stress. You might prefer them to send it in sooner, but you might create an incentive for them to do that, an economic incentive or a personal incentive. That's different. But because you're suffering not because they turn in late. You're suffering because you believe they shouldn't. You're suffering because you believe because they do it, you're responsible, you're going to be stressed, and you're not going to get it done. And the not get it done is what's making you stressful, but you do get it done. It's so crazy how we as human beings so often make up a story in our head and we play it over and over again until we believe it, even though it's not true. And it gives us stress. Can you see how that relates for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So what would be the solution? The solution is what I'm going to talk about in a couple minutes. And I want to do it for several people because it's interesting. I'm seeing the same pattern again and again, different story, but same pattern. So
Sure.
Please stay tuned. And when I talk about, I'm going to talk about how to end suffering, because that's this experience of stress is a form of suffering. I would never use the word suffering a year and a half ago. If you would have said to me, Tony, do you suffer? I would have laughed at you. I said, suffer? Are you kidding me? I have 4 amazing kids. They're all adults. I got 3 grandkids that I love. I got the most incredible wife. I have a life where I travel the world and I have a mission I love. And everywhere I go, I meet beautiful, amazing people. Suffering? Hell no. But I did. Because I wouldn't use that word suffering. Kind of like if you go to an achiever and go, are you fearful? They go, I'm not fearful. I'm just stressed, right? So stress is the achiever word for fear. Because if I follow the trail of your stress, it'll take me to what you're fearful about. And similarly with me, I was suffering because I was feeling frustrated, I was feeling overwhelmed, I was feeling, fearful, I was feeling same thing as you. I can't believe people dumping all this on me last minute. I would have all those things. I could relate to you completely, right? Because people think I'm a machine because I can accomplish a lot, and so they don't think about it. They do that. But what I found was I could end that suffering and I could have my life be 100 times more beautiful. So you're kind of taking me to that subject, but I think I should take maybe one or two more before I do that. So please stay on the line there and do it. Is this helpful though? Is it
Very helpful.
Okay,
Very
good. Take care of yourself. Nice meeting you. I think this idea of loving yourself as a cultural obsession has no basis in reality. Here's the challenge. When you're born, what do you got to do to be loved? Nothing. Because your mother's on drugs, natural drugs, oxytocin. So you look like a lizard and she thinks you're beautiful, right? You're fat, you shit all over, you throw up and you're still beautiful, right? For a while, you're unconditionally loved. And thank God we wouldn't have survived otherwise. I love women so much. I have so much respect for women, even more so going through birth again. No man will ever fully appreciate what a woman does or what a baby demands of a mother if you're breastfeeding and the energy and the no sleep. I mean, it's amazing what women do in our lives. But the point is, in the beginning, you gotta do nothing. And then the oxytocin wears off and suddenly you do the same, scream or yell, throw your food, and now you get yelled at or hit, or the worst one of all, you get ignored. And then fear enters your body. And then the rest of your life, you're looking for, how can I get this unconditional love? And I remember in the beginning asking myself, because I studied all animals and with the level of dependency they have. And human beings have the longest period of dependency for survival of any creature other than other primates. Whales will be dependent for a year, birds for a few weeks, then boom, get your ass out there and fly, It's a different world. We have this long dependency. It's just the nature of how we are. And then I thought to myself, so why don't we just have unconditional love all the time? And I think my answer is because then you never grow or give anything to life. You think everything is about you. And unfortunately, there are a large population of kids that were raised in a generation of parents that were helicopter parents that thought everything should be about the child, and they wonder why they're selfish today. Or why they, don't seem to have great relationships where you gotta be with somebody else, you gotta put somebody else ahead of you. That's what love is. Love is putting somebody else ahead of yourself. Loving yourself usually comes for most human beings by starting to have a value and just appreciating people, not because of what they do, not because of what they have, just because you feel their essence. And it's easier to do that with somebody you love than it's with yourself, but when you start to with somebody else and you're not judging, you're truly loving them, then it's much more natural because you're already doing the loving. You're not getting it from somewhere else. Someone may say something, look at you a certain way as a trigger, but all love is self-love. This bullshit, I don't love myself. If you've ever been someone and felt loved, you loved yourself. They didn't love you. They said something, they did something with their eyes, and you used that as a trigger to release love inside of you. But loving yourself every moment, all the time, is not the secret to success. Having appreciation for yourself is different than constantly loving. Now, in the Bible, it says, love thy neighbor as thyself. So I think it's a worthy goal and it's useful, but most people are obsessed with it. And I think get on about living a life that's meaningful and you'll love yourself. As long as you focus on you, you're not gonna love you. Because the human brain is always looking for what's wrong, what to protect, what needs to be changed. It's a survival instinct. And so it's looking for things to fight or flight or try to freeze or pretend you're not there about yourself. But when you're in a bit of service, when you're trying to serve something more than yourself, that's when the higher part of your consciousness is there. That's when your heart is flowing. And when you're doing that, you're not thinking about you, and therefore you feel love. And how many follow what I'm talking about? Get a better quality problem here. Say I. And that can happen if you make this psychological shift. So here's what I want to give you for this day. 2 skill sets I want to share with you. But before I do, just for a second, stand back up because you've been sitting too long. I know you're all over. Stand up just for a second. Shake your body out if you would, please. Stand up, shake it out, put a little music on there. And I want you to shake your body, wake your body up. On 3, shake the building. 1.
No matter what it is you do, whether you're a filmmaker, a startup entrepreneur, a manager of a corporation, a bread creator, or whatever it's called, a baker. I guess that would be a baker. Whether you're a teacher, whether you're a firefighter, whether you're a politician, whether you are a gardener, whether you are a wall maker, I don't know, whatever it is you do, but every day you walk out in the world gives you not only that opportunity, but brings with it the awesome responsibility to show up as a leader.
But the chances are you won't. You won't need that rest. Chances are you will realize that the desire to rest was just weakness. It was just the desire to take the path of least resistance, the downhill path, the easy path. And by simply going through the motions, you overcame that path. And you stayed on the righteous path, the disciplined path. You stayed on the war path, which is right where you know.
And so to tell people even something like, well, you should feel good about yourself the way you are, it's like, well, that there's something there that's seriously lacking, because there's so much more that you could be, that you need to be, and that you should be aiming at. The problem with being okay the way you are is that you don't have a goal then. And people need to have a goal in order to